2, 1.
Hello and welcome to TrojanVision's The Week That Was, covering the news and events for the week ending Friday, January 15th, 2021. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. January 6th meant back to work for Troy University students as it started a new semester. While this hasn't been a typical school year, students are still hitting the books, working to make it to May. Henrietta Stinson hit the campus to see how students feel about the start of classes.
As spring semester begins, students are still adjusting to their classes and are trying their best to stay focused due to classroom modifications made during the pandemic.
I thought Troy's doing a really good job with trying to keep students separated and keeping us, safe throughout this pandemic. I like the pod systems and how they're, separating students, only allowing so many per class.
Ever since I got back for this semester, it's been a refreshing start for me. Class has been going smoothly. Some classes have been pod classes, some classes are in-class classes.
I feel like with a mix of online classes, hybrids and stuff, it's different trying to get readjusted to coming back after being away for so long, but Troy's done a pretty good job of making sure we feel safe.
Many students are in high spirits about this semester and discuss how they are going to stay on top of things.
I'm definitely excited about the new semester. I wish we would have started a little bit later because I feel like we went a little bit earlier than other schools, but there's nothing you can do about that now. I'm involved in a lot on campus. I'm a resident assistant and I'm also involved in a lot of organizations, but I definitely feel like organization is key. Writing down your due dates. My planner is my best friend, so just making sure I do everything I can to keep up with my dates and get ahead and just make this a semester that counts.
So I'm taking 16 hours this semester. And I think just my general plan is just to find time when I can and hopefully just self-discipline myself to study. I think with pods and just online classes, it's going to be a little bit harder.
I think the semester starting back is going to be a great semester. I plan on prioritizing things by using a planner and using the calendar on my phone just to keep me organized. With me taking only 14 hours, I feel like the pods are a good thing. So some days I might not have class because I may be in pod B, and other days it just gives me time to really prioritize my class, study for tests, study for quizzes, and just keep my life on track.
Even though this semester will be different from previous semesters, students are hoping to finish the semester strong. Henrietta Stinson, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Troy University opened its doors to students for the spring semester while the COVID-19 pandemic continues. Troy's coronavirus task force says students on campus are urged to follow the school's Troy Strong guidelines once again this semester. Brady Talbert has more.
Wednesday marked the first day of classes at Troy University in the new year, and with it comes 2 self-reported on-campus cases of the coronavirus, a looming threat that didn't end when 2020 did.
The seriousness of COVID remains at the same level it was when we entered into the fall. I think that, certainly without a vaccine and with an increase in the number of infections that have been occurring over December, I think we all just need to be mindful.
Dr. Lance Tatum, the Senior Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, is a member of Troy's Coronavirus Task Force. With some students returning from holiday break, he says around 30 continue to quarantine at home.
A concern is that people over the Christmas break perhaps were gathering in groups that provided an exposure opportunity. The numbers are not out of whack or out of normalcy from what we saw in the fall.
And those numbers are available on the troy.edu/coronavirus website. As for the Troy Strong health and safety guidelines created last year, they continue. Masks are to be worn indoors and when around others. Social distancing expectations resume with some classes split into pods. And personal hygiene remains a priority with personal protective equipment available around campus.
This is a serious situation and we don't need to be cavalier about it, but in the same token, we don't need it to control every aspect of our life as well.
And Troy University says it's making plans now for how it will distribute a COVID-19 vaccine when the time comes. As Brady Talbot reports, the university says it will prioritize those who are most at risk.
While an exact date has not been set, Troy University says it has begun making plans to distribute a COVID-19 vaccine when the time comes.
We think that the vaccine is coming. We just don't know exactly when it's going to be distributed to us. We don't know if that's going to be in April or if that may be sooner than April. We don't know how many dosages we're going to be provided.
It's all an ongoing conversation between the Alabama Department of Public Health and Troy University. The school says those with the greatest risk of catching the virus will be vaccinated first.
We're not in favor of doing a first come, first served type of distribution. We think that we need to be more deliberate. And so right now we're creating a plan that really would mirror what individuals have seen nationally or at the state level. There are going to be categories of people. Those at the highest risk, those with the most exposure potential will be early vaccinated individuals.
Looking ahead, spring break is still on.
You know, everything could change. If we get into a situation where the numbers get out of control, we may have to make an adjustment.
And final exams can now be held in the classroom rather than solely online.
We're going to expand the days that the faculty member can provide the final assessment for that class. We're still encouraging faculty to be flexible in how they do that final assessment. They could give it through campus or Canvas if they wanted to, but if they're going to give it in class, if that's their preference, then if the class is not permitted to be distanced with the total enrollment, then we're going to break it up into more days.
For more details on the university's plans going forward, you can visit troy.edu/coronavirus. Brady Talbert, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll learn about Troy University Student Government Association's plans for the spring semester. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Mom, can we get some ice cream?
Please, Mom, please.
No, we're having dinner soon.
Please.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
This week, the U.S. House of Representatives voted to impeach Donald Trump for a second time in his presidency. So where does the country go from here after this historic second impeachment? Seth Feiner sat down with a Troy University political science professor to get his take on this moment in American history.
Since the rioters overtook the Capitol building last Wednesday, there have been calls by multiple politicians to take President Trump out of office for his incitement in the day's events. Dr. Stephen Taylor, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences and a professor of political science, spoke about the danger the riots posed for the country.
This was in some ways a counter-democracy protest. Specifically, in fact, I would term it an insurrection, wherein the crowd was not only occupying the seat of legislative power in the U.S. government, but they were actively trying to disrupt the constitutional process of counting the electoral votes.
With Vice President Pence telling Nancy Pelosi he is unwilling to enact the 25th Amendment, that leaves a historic second impeachment charge the most likely way to unseat President Trump.
The impeachment, we talk about impeachment as though it's one big thing. It's actually a two-step process where the House impeaches or indicts or formally charges or lays forth whatever claim against the president under the Constitution, under the very broad category of bribery, treason, or high crimes and misdemeanors. This is defined ultimately by a vote in the House.
That the House may be likely to impeach the president for a second time, getting a majority in the Senate may be a different story.
Again, if I'm laying money on he gets impeached, but he's not removed. But because the bottom line is you need about 17 Republicans to jump ship, so to speak. Now, I think he might find right now there are probably half a dozen members of the Senate that would vote to convict, so to speak. So it's a complicated mess. It's not going to be resolved quickly. I know there are always calls for a quick resolution, but Congress doesn't move quickly, period. And the fact that they've moved this quickly to impeach him is actually a sign of the severity of the situation. But it is also easier to impeach than it is to do anything, to do the removal part.
The Student Government Association is back in session this semester as the coronavirus pandemic continues. Zeta Ingram caught up with the SGA to discuss how it plans to put socially distanced safe events on for the student body.
Tuesday night in Hawkins Hall, the Student Government Association met for the first time this year. And while the new year has brought new beginnings, it hasn't left behind the coronavirus.
It's a little bit hard in COVID season. We can't have the same kind of events that we normally do. So we're planning ways to still keep the students involved, whether it's between creating a pen pal system or launching this new app that we have installed on our campus, different things like that.
And while the SGA has always advocated for student involvement, the committees want to incorporate all of campus within events and activities this year.
We're going to be talking with the campus police and try to get them involved so that they can go on the night walks with us and find ways for them to be more involved on campus as well with the students.
And while the SGA is excited for new ideas, the committees are even more excited to bring ideas of the past to the present.
There's going to be some things that we're trying to get back on campus. So I know a lot of students miss the swings. We're trying to get those back on the quad.
The purpose behind these ideas is to get people figuratively closer to one another, especially in times when we are cautioned to be 6 feet away from each other.
I think it's going to be a good way for the students to connect in ways they haven't before and just keep morale up on campus, keep students here and engaged.
J. John added that there have been no changes to the COVID-19 guidelines and asked students to think of others before themselves by wearing masks at all times indoors and around others while keeping your distance. Zeta Ingram, Troy, TrojanVision News.
The Student Government Association is the governing body at Troy University. SGA members are able to pass legislation to directly benefit Trojan students, but that isn't possible without senators. The SGA says it has a few vacant spots to fill this semester to accurately represent all students. Brady Talbert has more.
The Student Government Association is looking to fill some vacant Senate seats in an effort to have a fully functioning Senate.
A full Senate is much more productive. We're able to address more concerns of the student body.
SGA Senate positions are available for Cowart Hall, Clements Hall, Rushing Hall, Pace Hall, the College of Education, the College of Business, as well as 3 general senator at-large seats. Applications opened last Friday and will close on Wednesday, January the 20th. An application to apply was sent to students' troy.edu email addresses. Carter Ray, the SGA Executive Vice President, oversees the Senate and says a full Senate allows the SGA to do more for students.
We're able to hold more events. We're able to communicate with the administration more freely. We're much, like I said, we're much more productive. We're able to do a lot more, and therefore we're better serving the students.
Students can cast their ballots for the vacant Senate seats on January 27th, and Ray says he encourages those outside of SGA to stay up to date on what the organization is up to.
We are welcoming guests, and we'll find a way to get you plugged in, or if you just want to know what's going on, that's a great way to learn.
The SGA meets on Tuesdays at 6:30 in Hawkins Hall.
Troy University Student Government Association is looking to recognize Trojan Pride among students with a new award that will be presented for the first time this semester. As Kaylee Wright shows us, the application process for the new award will open soon.
Mr. and Miss Trojan Pride is a new award given to one male and one female Troy University student who possesses the qualities explained by Student Government Vice President Carter Ray.
We're looking for people and trying to identify students who just represent the university very well. They represent all the qualities in the Trojan way, possess good character, and are very involved in areas such as leadership, campus involvement, community involvement, and exceed in academics.
The award is meant to honor students who are a positive influence on campus.
We're really looking for a unique way to award students because we have many students on campus who do so much for the university.
Applications will be available on the my.troy.edu website under the Student Government Association page. A $10 application fee is due January 27th. Kaylee Wright, Troy, TrojanVision News.
We're going to take another quick break, but when we come back, we'll learn about a way Troy Athletics is getting fans involved with basketball games this spring. That's coming up after this, so stay tuned.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
For over 70 years, Smokey Bear has asked you to use fire responsibly.
Fire is due to an unattended campfire. Go time.
Here's how you can stay on the front lines of preventing wildfires. Always watch your campfire before leaving. Drown it, stir it, drown it again, and feel that the fire is out cold.
Oh, bullseye!
And you won't need a visit from these guys.
Copy that.
You can be Smokey's wingman when enjoying nature and prevent wildfires. Visit SmokeyBear.com for more fire prevention tips.
We here at Trojan Vision are looking back at a man who is responsible from where we're broadcasting from right now, Earl Hutto. The former congressman and namesake of our broadcast studio passed away late last year. Stuart Bradley takes a look at Hutto's contribution and what it means to Troy Trojan Vision.
On December 14th of last year, the namesake of Troy Trojan Vision's television studio, Earl Hutto, passed away. A donation from Hutto back in 2018 made room for improvements in the Trojan Vision studio that Hutto himself said at the time would lead to careers in a field he was known for, broadcasting.
It means everything. This is a wonderful thing, and to have this named after me, it's great. I hope it'll lead to good lives for them in whatever occupation they choose.
Station manager Kyle Bozeman says Trojan Vision would not be where it is today without the generous donation Hutto gave to his alma mater.
The generous donation from the Hutto family enabled us to replace our largely homemade and improvised and self-made, hand-me-down sets, furniture, etc., with something built by professionals for a television studio that's very modern and very functional. And I think that when students see that, and prospective students see that, it raises their level of ambition a little bit and makes them want to be more professional as well. So that's been a big plus.
Bozeman adds that he hopes that Hutto's pioneering broadcasting legacy will continue to live on through the students who learn the ropes in the studio named in his honor.
Earl Hutto was among the first generation of television broadcasters. There was no such thing as a broadcast journalism degree when he studied at Troy. He just kind of made his way into the business as people did for the first couple of generations of the television news and sports business. As a member of that first generation of broadcasters, Earl Hutto set a standard and set the norms and practices for journalists to come, and journalists over all the last few decades since television was invented, and set standards for television news people to follow going into the future.
The Earl Hutto studio was officially dedicated on November 17th, 2018. Stuart Bradley, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
One way COVID is having an impact on campus is through reduced capacity in Trojan Arena for basketball games this season. While fewer fans will be able to sit in the stands, Troy Athletics is providing a way for certain fans to have courtside seats, even though they won't actually be there in person. Stuart Bradley explains.
Live crowds have been a cornerstone of professional and collegiate level sports for ages. However, the COVID-19 pandemic has rendered packing out arenas impossible. Inside Trojan Arena, however, Trojan fans still have an opportunity to be another face in the crowd thanks to the addition of fan cutouts.
We're limited to our capacity, but we wanted all of our fans to still feel like they were a part of Trojan Arena and a part of both men's and women's basketball teams. So that's why we decided to do the fan cutouts for this season, just so the fans could, still feel like they have a part in every game, even if they are here or they aren't here. Just give them that opportunity.
By visiting TroyTrojans.com/fan cutouts, fans can submit their own pictures and have their cutouts sit among other familiar faces for the remainder of the men and women's basketball seasons.
We have Coach O'Connor, we have David George, we have two dogs, Bullet and Bailey. Got Barry McKnight's mom in the background with T. Roy. We've got, obviously, if you can't tell, we got the Tiger King over here. All cutouts are shown throughout the entire season. So if you purchase a cutout, you'll be here as soon as we get it. You'll be in there the entire rest of the season. And then once the season's over, we'll have, if you want, we'll have Coach Cross and Coach Shanda Rigby autograph your cutout, and then we'll give it back to you at the end of the season.
Fans can see their cutouts in action January 16th as the women's basketball team takes on Georgia Southern. Single game tickets are still available in limited quantities, and students can still get in free with their student IDs. Just another face from the crowd. Stuart Bradley, Troy, TrojanVision News.
$2 movie night was a favorite event put on by the University Activities Council. However, the closure of Continental Cinema last year meant the UAC had to come up with other movie night ideas. Well, this past Wednesday night, they went with a classic throwback for the students' viewing pleasure. Allison Polk gives us a look.
At the end of October, one of Troy's famous local businesses, the Continental Cinemas, closed its doors for the last time, leaving Troy students without a movie theater and a broken heart.
I was kind of sad, honestly, because it was our only one, and it was really fun to do.
It really sucks because I used to love going to $2 movie night.
Troy doesn't really have a lot of nightlife during the week, so with $2 movie nights or any other night watching movies, there was something fun to do that was relatively safe and pretty affordable, so I think I was really sad to see it go.
$2 movie night was one of the biggest events that the University Activities Council hosted. Seeing how much students would miss the event, UAC decided to take a different approach for movie night by allowing you to watch movies right here in the comfort of your own car.
So tonight we're doing a drive-in movie, sort of in place of $2 movie night. So in an attempt to get the students to be more engaged and still be following COVID protocols, we decided to do a drive-in movie, something that's newly offered here at Camp Butter and Egg.
The drive-in movie allows students to get the theater experience while also being safe and warm in their own space. The process of watching the movie was simple. All students had to do was drive up, tune into the 87.9 radio station, which had the movie's audio playing loud and clear, sit back and enjoy. The UAC says that if the drive-in movie goes well, it could become a regular event on their calendar. Allison Polk, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Troy University is continuing its Troy Strong COVID protection guidelines into the spring semester. We'll learn more about their spring plans in this week's Trojan Talk. Hello and welcome to Trojan Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. With me today, Dr. Lance Tatum, Senior Vice Chancellor here at Troy University, here to talk about COVID and the Troy Strong plan here on campus. I want to thank you for joining me here today.
Well, Aaron, I appreciate the opportunity to come in and talk about this. This happens to be a reoccurring activity with us, but always happy to be here.
Well, of course, and one of the main things is we're in a spring semester. We've got a semester under our belt here at Troy University in dealing with COVID and the guidelines and the protocols. How are things going for the spring? What's the plan for the spring? What's the roadmap? And are there any big changes?
Yeah, that great question. Let me begin by saying this. The fall for us was a real success story. And I think the success came because there was really total buy-in from all of the internal constituencies within the university. Faculty and staff were amazing. They showed flexibility when we needed flexibility. They showed resiliency when we needed resiliency. The students were outstanding. You know, one of the things I was very proud of is that in early October, we actually met with the student leadership of the campus. And they had lots of questions that they asked, but they also were very interested in being a part of the solution and being part of the success that we wanted to achieve in the semester. So great success in the fall. We learned a lot. We learned that some things worked very well. We learned that some things had to be examined and maybe restructured in some way. I'm pleased to say that for the most part, the spring will start very much like the fall did. We're going to have the protocols in place and guidelines that we started with in August to include face coverings in areas that you need to be having those face coverings on. We're going to restrict the amount of people that can gather within any certain type of organizational meeting. We're going to continue with the social distancing. We're going to keep encouraging the personal hygiene piece of this. Dean Reeves' office has just done a yeoman's job in helping us kind of validate and track the quarantine situation and those who have been exposed. Human Resources with Ashley English has done an outstanding job with our faculty and our staff in the same way that Dean Reeves has worked with students. So for the most part, things are going to be similar. There are a few adjustments that we have made. So one adjustment is how we are going to implement the pod structure that we came up with in the fall. This is an instructional platform. So we're a class that has an enrollment that exceeds the ability to social distance within that classroom. We're breaking the class into smaller groups. Each of those groups, or pods, will meet on a very specified day of the week so that we are still able to do our social distancing. We learned that in this fall that there were some groups of students who struggled with this, this activity. They weren't exactly sure when they were going to be there, when they weren't supposed to be there. You add into that this idea that faculty and students were going in and out of quarantine. It really did not have the type of face-to-face feel that I wanted to achieve. So in working with the deans and the department chairs, we have a much more structured way in which we're going to deal with that this year. The syllabus should be much more specific and clear in how students are to attend the classes. We have a very good record-keeping process in place now, so we know exactly which sections are going to be potted, who's teaching those sections, and we're going to keep an eye on how those go. We are also going to, to make sure that we don't exceed our ability to keep an eye on what's happening, right? So that goes back to what happens in residential life, what happens in student life. I've said this over and over again, only about 10% of a student's life is spent inside a classroom. Yes. 90% of it is outside. So we're going to keep working with student services and the other divisions on campus and making sure that students know we want them to have that experience. I mean, the college experience is very important, but we want them to do it in a safe and a well-intentioned manner.
And of course, the difference between the spring and the fall is there's a potential light at the end of the tunnel that we did not have in the fall, in that there's a vaccine, and that's still the slow rollout and the effects of that. But what's the roadmap? What are you all? What are you looking at? Because I know you meet with other universities and things like that to talk about what's going on. So what is that roadmap? What is the potential for seeing that light at the end of that tunnel? Yeah,
I think that we're all encouraged by the opportunities that may be presented to us as we move through the spring. I think we still need to be mindful, though, that every day and every week is a gift, right? That if we don't keep a careful eye on what's happening and how we interact with each other, this thing could become unmanageable. And so we want to be mindful of that. In other words, I don't want to throw away the good work that we've done and that we need to do just because the idea of a vaccine may be coming our way. You're totally correct in the idea that we talk to other universities. I spend lots of time emailing on the phone with other chief academic officers throughout the state, the governor's office, Alabama Department of Public Health. Right now, the plan is that universities will see an opportunity to be given dosages to be distributed on campus. We don't know exactly when that is going to occur. There is some talk that might be April before that happens. It could be before that. I think we just kind of have to wait and see. We're in the process right now, the Corona Task Force is in the process of developing a distribution plan. I think that what we saw in other states early on is that if you operate on a first come, first served basis, it creates problems, right? People end up waiting outside of offices for very long periods of time. So anyway, the idea is that we create this distribution plan. We'll prioritize, those who are most at risk, those who are most exposed, try to get them inoculated first, and then work down to the lower categories. So April is the target, but we'll have to see what happens. Because April is the target, and we know that we may go deeper into the spring, we've made some adjustments to the finals. In terms of the potted structure. Faculty will know what that means. Department chairs will know what that means. I would encourage students to talk to their instructors and their department chairs. But it also means we're going to stay with spring break as it is calendared right now. Spring break will occur. We don't have the privilege, or we don't have the opportunity we did in the fall with having Thanksgiving butt into the holidays where we didn't come back. That is not a plan that we have right now. We will go face-to-face in class all the way to the end of the semester.
Unless something else happens, but knock on, there's no wood right here. That's right. Hoping that it stays safe. But Lance, I want to thank you for joining me today to tell me about what's going on here. And I know we're going to get you back here as soon as we get that vaccine news, and we're going to talk about how we get that there. But for now, thank you for this update, and thank you for joining us here today. So
happy to do it. Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us on today's edition of Trojan Talk. And that's the week that was. To find out what's happening on a daily basis, you can tune into Troy Trojan Vision News at 5, 6:30, and 10:30 Monday through Friday, or follow us on Twitter at Troy TV News. Also, feel free to like our Troy Trojan Vision News fan page on Facebook to see online content from Troy Trojan Vision News. Until next time, have a good week.